Hello and welcome back to the summer of Switch 2. The Switch 2 has only been out for a couple weeks at this point, but I am already adoring this thing. I'm having a blast racing through a new Mario Kart, exploring Hyrule in 4K 60fps, experiencing the peak of F-Zero, and coping with the fact that I bought Welcome Tour.
That's $10 I'll never get back.
And with Nintendo's June Direct coming up, we're inbound for big announcements for this system. And while, like many others, I'd love to see first looks at a new 3D Mario, Zelda, and other entries in beloved Nintendo franchises, I am also hopeful that Grand Theft Auto 6 will be announced to come to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now this may seem like a crazy idea, like a real tinfoil hat kind of thing. As a matter of fact, you may be thinking it is the alcohol speaking, but let me tell you, this actually isn't alcohol. This is lemon lime soda, zero sugar from Kroger. That still may be what's talking, but at the same time, when you take a step back and think, it honestly makes more sense than you'd expect. Grand Theft Auto 6 has been the most anticipated game ever for quite a while. The first trailer got nearly 100 million views in its first 24 hours, and it had the most views ever in 24 hours until the second trailer released. And the recently released trailer 2, alongside a release date, has kept the hype train rolling. This is easily going to be the biggest game launch ever, so I believe it's in Nintendo's best interest to get this game to launch on Switch 2 alongside the other versions. For a while, Nintendo has been in an awkward spot with third-party support. During the Wii era, they appealed to three crowds: Nintendo fans, kids, and casuals. There's nothing wrong with that, of course, but Nintendo wanted to get back in favor with the hardcore gamers. So with their next system, the Wii U, they had some more hardcore, heavier titles launch alongside the system, and within the first year. The issue was, the Wii U was so poorly marketed, no hardcore gamers wanted a Wii U. Every ad showed kids and families playing games that don't usually appeal to the more hardcore crowd. It was less powerful than the Xbox 360 and PS3, which was embarrassing considering those consoles were 7 years old at that point. And of course, it would be even less powerful than the up-and-coming next-gen Xbox and PlayStation systems. However, criticizing the Wii U for these things may come across as hypocritical, considering the fact that the Switch 2 itself is of course less powerful than the 5-year-old PS5 and Series consoles. However, the ultimate death sentence for third-party games on Wii U was this stupid ass thing. When porting games to the system, developers had to pump extra time, effort, developers, and development cost into finding a use for the pad. And all of that effort would go into a version of the game with a tiny install base that primarily consists of kids and Nintendo fans. All of this combined made many developers abandon the Wii U, which basically meant the Wii U was stuck with nothing but Nintendo's games and garbage third-party kids games. I may sound really harsh towards the Wii U, but that's because these days, it is really understated how much it actually did hurt Nintendo, and it losing a lot of third-party support is one thing that Nintendo managed to fix with their next console. With the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo did a complete 180 with the Wii U. While it wasn't a whole lot more powerful than the Wii U, it at least provided one major advantage that other consoles couldn't: portability and a decent amount of power for it. On top of that, the Switch proved to be a sales juggernaut throughout its life, and because of that, many third parties decided to support the system. Within the first year of release, we saw ports of Skyrim, LA Noire, Doom 2016, and all of these were huge to see. These were far from the best versions of these games, sure, but they were still playable versions of these games, especially considering a game being brought to Switch meant it be portable. A big advantage of bringing third-party games to the Switch as opposed to the Wii U was that the Switch didn't have an unnecessary gimmick that would require more development time. As long as developers could get the games running portably, that's all that was required to get their game on Switch. And yet, developers still put some extra effort in some places, just for fun. Many first-person shooters were given gyro aim, Skyrim has motion controls. These are all optional settings for these games, but are good to have to appeal to the console's audience. As the Switch's life went on, its third-party support kept on kicking. Some huge games made their way to this system: Doom Eternal, Hogwarts Legacy, Mortal Kombat 1. I mean, sure, two of these were especially shit on this system, but it showed that many third parties now saw
saw the Switch as another console to put their games on. And with the Switch 2, it seems like even more third parties see it that way.
The Switch 2 Direct had insane third-party announcements: Elden Ring, Street Fighter 6, Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Hitman. It seemed like many third parties were waiting for the Switch to get an increase in power, and now that it has, they're happy to support the Switch. Hell, FromSoft is developing an exclusive. I wouldn't be shocked if Witcher 4 launches on the Switch 2. The success of the Switch and the sheer power of the Switch 2 has given it an incredible third-party launch lineup, and shows that all of these companies are now eager to support Nintendo alongside all the other platforms.
Now, this discussion is supposed to be about GTA 6 on Switch 2, but I did feel that it was important to start by stating why third-party support on Switch 2 is as good as it is. But now that we have that out of the way, let's finally talk about why I think GTA 6 can and needs to come to the Switch 2.
First off, let's talk about what seems to be the biggest hurdle for this game running on Switch 2, the power. This game looks insanely huge. This looks like the highest quality game ever made. The second trailer used a mix of gameplay and cutscenes, and it's hard to tell what gameplay clips were gameplay. On top of that, Rockstar Games cutscenes are usually crafted in-engine, and the same goes for their trailers. I mean, look at the first GTA 5 trailer. It looks rough, but that's because they capture their trailers with in-engine footage. On top of that, at the end of the trailer, it straight up says that this was all captured in-engine on a PS5.
So it may seem like this game would struggle to run on Switch 2, but there's one little thing in this trailer that I wanted to divert your attention to. One of the consoles that it's announced for.
Xbox. Not just Series X, but also Series S. This is the trick. If the Series S is going to be able to run this game, I feel like it'll be possible for the Switch 2 to run it. It is important to stress that the Series S is of course more powerful than the Switch 2, but with things like DLSS, Switch 2 is able to close the gap to the Series S a lot more than we expected. Regardless, if GTA 6 was to hit Switch 2, it would take some extra work to make it, well, work.
And why would they put in the effort to do so? Well, let's talk about it.
I don't even know where to begin because there's a lot I can start off with, but I guess first off, a huge thing would be Nintendo sending a message. They already did with Dustbloods, having a From Software M-rated exclusive on their console.
But GTA 6 on Switch 2 would also scream that they mean business. This is the most anticipated game of all time. So if it was to launch on Switch 2 date and date with the other systems, that would be massive.
Not only that, but it's clear Nintendo is very open to having M-rated experiences on their platform. The Switch 2 launched with Hitman and Cyberpunk, a game that has you choose your genitals when starting the game. And we've got Elden Ring and Dustbloods coming. Nintendo wants these M-rated hardcore experiences on their system because they can market the system to more than just kids. I'm unfortunately unable to find it, but I remember back in 2023 during the holiday season, there was a commercial that promoted Red Dead Redemption Switch port, and this was an M-rated Rockstar game. This gave off the vibe that they viewed Red Dead as their big M-rated holiday title, and they were proud to promote it.
And so I feel like they would kill to have GTA 6 on Switch 2 at launch, especially considering the fact that it's not launching on PC.
That means the Steam Deck won't get this game at launch, so Nintendo could be the sole portable GTA 6 provider at launch. And of course, I am aware of the PS Portal and the upcoming Xbox ROG Alley. I don't know how the fuck you pronounce this name, it's stupid. But the PS Portal just streams this game, and no one is gonna buy the Xbox fucking handheld piece of shit. It took the Switch 2 a matter of days to nearly outsell the Steam Deck. Nintendo still is practically the only competitor in the handheld market, and having GTA 6 on there would be a huge win for them.
But hold up, let's stop for a second. Rockstar has had a rocky, awkward relationship with Nintendo, so why would they bring this game to Switch 2? Well, because times are changing.
Grand Theft Auto historically rarely releases on Nintendo systems. Until 2021, if Grand Theft Auto released on a Nintendo console, well, it wasn't on one of their home consoles. It was their handhelds. The Game Boy Advance and DS respectively saw their own GTA spin-offs, and the first two entries were ported to the Game Boy Color, but other than that, Grand Theft Auto had never released on Nintendo systems. None of the 3D games ever hit the platform until 2021 with GTA, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. Now, regardless of how divisive of a release this was, there is one important thing to note. Rockstar released this game on Switch, as well as the other platforms.
Now, this may not seem too mind-boggling. I mean, these are remasters of PS2 games. There's no question that they could run on Switch. But you could say the same about the Wii U.
The GTA trilogy received mobile ports in the early 2010s, and San Andreas even had another version for Xbox 360 released during that time that was essentially a port of the mobile release. So what stopped Rockstar from throwing together a Wii U version as well? I mean, hell, they could have ported the UI's touchscreen controls to the gamepad. Why didn't Rockstar do this? Because they didn't believe in the Wii U. They didn't see it as a worthwhile endeavor, so seeing the trilogy release on Switch was the first of many good signs. And 2 years later in 2023, we saw another port of a Rockstar classic with Red Dead Redemption. I still remember seeing that YouTube notification for the first time. I couldn't believe my eyes. Red Dead was one of my favorite Rockstar games, so to see it come to Switch felt surreal. And as I mentioned earlier, Nintendo promoted this a fair bit, showing that they viewed this as their big M-rated title for the 2023 holiday season.
Now, I didn't really think much of Rockstar's future support for Nintendo after these releases at first. I mean, I of course have wanted a port of GTA 4 and 5 for quite a while, but I haven't really wanted and expected much more than that. Until something Take-Two's CEO said.
Take-Two is the owner of Rockstar Games, and their CEO has alluded to the fact that they will support Switch 2, and his direct quote further proves what I've been saying. There was a time when Nintendo platforms were really geared at younger audiences, and that was reflected in our release schedule. And now today with the Switch, and potentially with Switch 2, the Switch device can support any audience. As I've been saying, they didn't support Nintendo in the past because they didn't think it'd be worth it for them, but times have changed, and now they view Switch 2 and Nintendo as serious competitors and viable platforms to release their games on.
Now, one important thing to mention is that none of this guarantees a GTA 6 release on Switch 2 by any means. As a matter of fact, they are way more likely to release a port of GTA 5 or Red Dead Redemption 2.
Now, while I would love to see this game release date and date on Switch 2, is this really the be-all end-all for me? No, I've got a PS5, that'll be where I primarily play this game. I'm not gonna not buy the game because it's not available on Switch 2. I just think it'd be a really cool thing to have, and it would be a really big deal for Nintendo.
If it happens, cool. If it doesn't happen, okay, I'm sure it'll come to a Nintendo console eventually. I mean, either way, I'm gonna be playing the game. Capitalism will reign supreme. This whole entire thing is what the kids refer to as a first world problem. I'm okay with that. Anyways, next up in our Summer of Switch 2, we will ideally be looking at Nintendo's June Direct. Of course, this is subject to change as always. I mean, we never really know with this company, but if all goes according to plan, get ready to hear a bunch of pointless numbers from me. Thanks for watching, and good fucking night.